Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. I just thought I would make one more video before our cyclone hits here in Brisbane. We have Tropical Cyclone Alfred hitting in Australia, so obviously I'm going to be caught up in that for a few days. Anyone who is listening from Brisbane or that greater Brisbane area, stay safe. Today's topic is about the Super Saiyan 4 DAIMA versus GT. This is kind of trending at the moment. You see a lot of people on the internet speaking about DAIMA's Super Saiyan 4, GT's Super Saiyan 4, trying to figure out which one is stronger, and for me it's a very straightforward answer. Now, a lot of people like to bring up the hair color of Super Saiyan 4 in DAIMA and comparing it to Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta from Dragon Ball GT. Now, the problem with this is Super Saiyan 4 in DAIMA takes place in age 775. Now, with DAIMA taking place in age 775, that is, off memory, 14 years before Dragon Ball GT. I made a theory video the other day regarding DAIMA and GT and the fact that if you want to use some headcanons and kind of make it fit, you can. You can make anything fit, even though every Dragon Ball anime continuity contradicts another. So, what I mean by that is obviously in Dragon Ball Super and in Dragon Ball GT, the Supreme Kai is once again fused with Kibito. Whether you're in Super or whether you're in Dragon Ball GT, it doesn't matter which of those two you watch. So that's not really a plot hole for either Super or GT against either, because the same plot hole occurs in both. The other one is God Ki not being introduced. So basically you have to look at GT as, what if Beerus never woke up, and what if God Ki was never introduced to the characters in Dragon Ball GT? Theoretically, it can still take place. So the biggest kind of point against Dragon Ball DAIMA's Super Saiyan 4 being stronger than Dragon Ball GT's is DAIMA takes place in age 775, whereas GT takes place in age 789. Now, with GT taking place in age 789, that's 14 years of training, you know, close to 15 years of training. So I find it very hard to believe that anyone in the DAIMA universe or continuity, whatever you want to call it, the story, could be stronger than anyone in GT. You know, this is before God Ki was even introduced. Let's say DAIMA is in fact a prequel to Super, which is the most likely scenario. Really, Super Saiyan 4 in Super can be explained away with the fact that, you know, at this stage we don't have an official explanation, but Goku can't use the form without Never's magic, or unless he learns the magic for himself, or the fact it just wears off, or it can only be used in the Demon Realm. Now, Super doesn't have Super Saiyan 4, we know this at this stage. So people are comparing DAIMA to GT, and they're comparing the Super Saiyan 4 form and which one's stronger. As I mentioned, age 775 versus age 789. Now, if age 789 characters are weaker than age 775 characters, to me that makes no sense. And the reason that makes no sense is, explain to me in what part of Dragon Ball characters from the past are stronger than present characters. Dragon Ball is kind of like a straight line in a way. And in that straight line, everything moves forward. Okay? In Japanese culture or Asian cultures, timelines tend to move north to south or south to north. However, with timelines the way we look at them in Western cultures, timelines often move left to right. But either way you look at it, there's no point in Dragon Ball apart from Gohan getting weaker in the start of the Majin Buu arc because he didn't train for 7 years. His Super Saiyan 2 form is still strong, but it's not as strong as it was against Perfect Cell or Super Perfect Cell because he hadn't trained consistently for 7 years. He'd been more focused on his studies. So there's not really any other point of Dragon Ball where characters from the past are stronger than their present selves. So for anyone saying that Goku is stronger in DAIMA because it is canon, again, there is no canon in the anime. You find me a part or a piece of anime that does not contradict another. I went through this the other day, so you can't sit here and go, DAIMA's canon, GT's not. If you want to say that, I understand, you're just being a troll, or you're biased and you just prefer DAIMA to GT, which, again, just because you're biased and you prefer one over the other, that doesn't make what you're saying factually right. That's called an opinion. That doesn't mean that you're right. So, I don't prefer Super Saiyan 4 in GT a whole lot more. I do prefer it, but that doesn't mean I can't acknowledge what Daima does better than GT, which is the animation's better, the art style looks better and more on point through more of the episodes consistently, and probably the scenario is more interesting to many people. The whole Demon Realm exploration is more interesting in Daima than the space exploration at the start of GT. I understand there's a lot of elements to Daima that people prefer. That doesn't mean that I can't have an opinion that differs. So I've always been of the opinion that characters in timelines that are further in the future are going to be stronger. You could argue, obviously, what about Future Trunks in his TV special or his timeline? He was 17 years in the future, and his Super Saiyan was roughly equivalent to Goku's Super Saiyan from 17 years in the past, or 20 years in the past, sorry, when he traveled back to warn everyone about the androids. He wasn't any stronger than Goku. In fact, you could even argue they're on par or maybe weaker than Goku when he came back from Yadra. So we have to also remember there, though, that Trunks comes from a future where he had no one to train with. He was basically left by himself to fend for himself. So that is kind of a unique circumstance. So in my opinion, GT, just on the fact that it takes place 14 to 15 years after Daima, precedence-wise, that means it's stronger than anything that happens in Daima. That's my opinion. If you've got a Goku who power scales in his base form above Kid Buu, how can you say his Super Saiyan 4 transformation, which has been calculated, it's not fact, but it's been calculated to be a 4,000 times multiplier on base, how can you say that that's weaker than Super Saiyan 4 in Daima? To me, it makes no sense. That's my opinion on it. But I'd love to hear your comments down below. Do you have any counterpoints that I didn't bring up? And yeah, like I said, everyone, there's a cyclone coming through Brisbane and the Moreton Bay region here in Brisbane. So yeah, please stay safe if you do live in that region and you are listening from home. And I will talk to you guys after the cyclone. Hopefully everyone comes through unscathed. Thank you. Bye.